thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of this distinguished audience. It's an honor to be here with you to think together about the present and the future of democracy. Last time I participated in this forum was in 2019 as Moldova's Prime Minister. This was soon after we got rid of a corrupt authoritarian regime which wanted to turn Moldova into a grey zone of lawlessness. I'm here today with two messages. First, democracy and individual freedom remain the guiding light at the end of the geopolitical tunnel for our societies. Second, in their longing for freedom, these societies deserve your full support. In hindsight, when I was there last time, a new Iron Curtain was already casting its ugly shadow over our European home. But we were still hoping at that time. We hoped that the Cold War had ended peacefully, that the Soviet Union and its territorial expansion had been confined to history books as objects of study for inquisitive free minds. We expected that our nations would continue to choose their destiny without constraint from Russia. We hoped that Russia would shed its totalitarian past and look inward to define its worth through economic, technological, and scientific progress, not through capture of land and wanton killings of civilians on the territories of its neighbors. In short, we hoped for a peaceful transition to democracy and well-being for all in our home, Europe. We are in a different world now. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine upended the region and rendered worthless tacit and written agreements, pledges, guarantees. Russia's war is designed to end Ukraine's existence as a sovereign state and of the Ukrainian people as a nation. If Russia had succeeded, it would have probably ended Moldova's existence as a free state too. Today, Russia wants to control former Soviet Union states as it once controlled Central and Eastern European states. Pretexts, ideology, and historical circumstances change. The essence of brute force remains. It is a mistake to believe that any nation in the region can sit it out on the sidelines. The extent of geopolitical upheaval is such that most nations will have to make choices which will define their futures for decades to come. As before, the question is on which side of the curtain do we want to be? On the side of democracy, freedom, pluralism, or on the side of oppression, disregard for human life, and reckless propaganda? Your countries have seen both. Czechia and Slovakia, Romania, Poland, Hungary, Bulgaria were all once held captive against the will of their people on the dark totalitarian side of the Iron Curtain. You know better than anyone what this means. It's difficult to explain it to people who didn't experience it. The Soviets planted and maintained their rule in Central and Eastern Europe through killings, disappearances, torture, and the imposition of pervasive fear. Even the thought of resistance, of democracy and free will had to become impossible. Your nations understand better than anyone how my own country, Moldova, has been held captive for so long. Now your nations are on the bright side, on the side of democracy and individual liberties, on the side of peace and security. They broke free to rejoin their European family. The shift didn't happen automatically. It happened through sacrifice, through the desire to live free and to choose freely. The shift to the bright side was forged through the Prague Spring and the sacrifices of the dark August days of 1968. The entire world pays homage to the courage of your people who cherished their desire for freedom, for belonging to their European home through decades of oppression. In his captive mind, Czesław Milosz explained how East European intellectuals were forced to accept the realities of repressive regimes. But repressions could not eradicate their inner national core and their disloyalty to the regime. Those who did not give up, those who did not submit, those who fought and ultimately broke free from mental captivity to make the liberation of the late 80s and early 90s possible. It is now our turn to follow the light at the end of the tunnel, to take a safe refuge in the EU and consolidate our democracy. Democracy for us is a choice, both civilizational and existential, to break free, to preserve ourselves, our way of life, set our own path, determine our own destiny, or remain in the past. For too long, the Moldovan people have been denied a voice, denied their national dignity, denied a future. For too long, we, the Moldovans, have not been allowed to be ourselves. But free nations do not sacrifice their dignity, not even to a far superior force. Moldova did not either. We have preserved and we are reaffirming proudly the dignity and self-worth of our people. The unjust and unprovoked war to subjugate Ukraine leaves no doubt. If we fail, we will be dragged back into Russia's sphere of influence, into the past, open to invasion at any moment. Just like the Prague Spring and the Charter 77 in Czechoslovakia, Solidarity in Poland, Moldova's generation of intellectuals, writers and poets from the 90s laid the ground for our national revival movement, which resonates in our hearts and has charted our way forward through the difficult transition process. Their vision, courage, and sacrifice ensured that Russia will not succeed in replanting the Russian world in Moldova today. We live in our Moldovan world. It is small, it needs care, but it is ours, and it is European. We were once torn away from Europe, and we are now restoring our true European identity, just as you did. The road is fraught with risks. We are on the front lines as Russia's hybrid war is gaining steam to undermine the legitimately elected Moldovan government and wreak chaos to keep the country captive. But I have no doubt that we will succeed. Why? Because democracy is essential for Moldova. The desire to be free, to live in dignity and decide on our own the destiny comes from within, from the Moldovan people themselves. It is not invented, not imposed. This is our people's genuine choice. The nations of Central and Eastern Europe that have come through long decades of repressive regimes understand and support us in our quest for freedom. I'm certain you will not abandon us as you once felt you were. We know you will do everything within your power to help us chart our course towards the European Union, to welcome us into the free world, into your world. Thank you for your constant and unwavering support to my country.